Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and I am here with the Gritty Broman.
What's up, guys?
In studio. That was so unprofessional.
It's okay.
It's been a long weekend, though. We were at the Hunt Expo.
Dude, that Hunt Expo. And I'll kick your butt.
So today's episode is with my good friends, Tanis Barkman and Doran Carter. And also
Our new friend,
Abe Henderson. 3 adventurers, free spirits, hippie cowboys.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain them because they're not all in one basket.
Yeah. Tanis and Doran were my guides on my moose hunt. And for those the limited people who were at the movie night, they saw the guides in action on the film. It's a great film. We're going to get it out, not for a couple months. We're actually going to try to go to a couple states and do another movie event because it went so well. It was so well received and people loved it. It was a great brick and mortar experience where you get to see people and experience. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was 500 tickets. We sold it out in just less than a week. And then we were turning people away. So we could have done probably 2 movie nights this in the same city, saying there's one after the other. So we're going to take it out there. Anyway, Tanis and Doran they were on earlier podcasts from my trip hunting moose with Dustin Rowe with Backcountry BC and beyond. When Adam Greentree's moose got buried under a pile of dirt, and I mean it was a pretty wild hunt. It was gnarly grizz everywhere and a true northern adventure. I mean, we were remote, so we've talked about that before. These two come on the podcast in studio, and then Abe Henderson he's a guide in Alaska, or he's an apprentice guide and working on becoming full-fledged. He's still at heart a DIY kind of adventure hunter, and he has a page called Alaska D.I.Y, or a brand, or I don't know what you.
It's kind of like a course that you take. Like, say you want to go to Alaska, you've never been, but you want to DIY it.
Yeah, so he puts together a do-it-yourself guide, and you'll hear all about it on this podcast. Good stuff. I think you should listen to the whole thing. We split this into 2 parts because the second part of the podcast goes in a totally different direction, from DIY hunts to straight up discussions about hunting and killing. So that's another episode that you'll hear soon. But this one is really cool. If you wanted to go to Sitka, or Kodiak, I should say, and hunt Sitka blacktail DIY, this is it. Or you want to go to Kodiak Island and hunt caribou, this is it. And it's just a cool discussion with 3 adventurers, and it opens a door for you to go on your own do-it-yourself adventure, and it answers questions, and it's a service being provided by Abe. And it's always tough because whenever you do shows like this, where you provide information that helps other hunters be successful, it has the potential of inhibiting your own success. And as hunters, we tend to get selfish, and we kind of want to hoard our patch, as Doran would call it, or our honey hole.
It's my patch.
We hoard our knowledge and our information, and then guys like me get hated on when we share it. But it's definitely a catch-22. It's hard for me to do. At the same time, I feel like we need to work on that, because being unselfish with information is really going to benefit all in the long term. Before we do that, I want to read one little comment. I told a guy I would answer his question on the podcast, so here we go. It's kind of related to this topic. It's by Montoki_Cowboy on Instagram, and he says, "Hey Brian, really enjoy the content you put out and love watching some of the hunts that you've been on. I do have a question for you. I'm a hunting guide here in Montana, guiding for deer, elk, bear, and fishing trips in the Bob Marshall with the largest horseback operation in the state. Me and a buddy have tossed around the idea of videoing some of the trips we take folks out on, as well as what we do between hunts, working with stock, trail rides, packing gear, and feed into our spy camps. And I'm curious if you'd have any advice or tips to getting started with capturing what we do and putting it out there. Thanks a ton, and stay gritty." You know, Tanis and Doran do a lot of adventures, and they don't really capture them and share them because they're not on grid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Abe, on the other hand, has a new film coming out, and I'm super, super stoked to see it. Comes out, I think, in March, and it's a do-it-yourself Kodiak Island caribou hunt. I don't know, like, there's so many different ways to capture your hunt and share it. Advice would be keep it real. Keep it as real and natural as possible. That film I did over the weekend, I just tried to keep it real. This is how it went down. I think people want to see just authenticity. That's the biggest thing. When it comes to capturing it, you can capture it professionally with a hired cameraman and lots of money and editing and all that kind of stuff and put it out there. Or you can do it more hush style and just grab a vlog camera, your iPhone, and just film it, that's it, and then publish it on YouTube. Check out today's show. Leave us a comment below. Like this video. Hit the bell on YouTube to be reminded of our show. Subscribe. We love it all. We appreciate all of it. Go to briancall.com and you can find all our YouTube videos under podcast and sign up for our newsletter. Promise we're going to start sending newsletters out.
So nice.
And
T-shirts and hats.
T-shirts and hats. Yep. Any support. We love that.
We'll have that up on the website here pretty soon.
Yep. And then, we would love your feedback on each show. And if you got questions, throw them our way, and we'll go over them as we can. Thanks, and stay gritty.
Malagnated out.
I just chugged a green apple.
We're gonna have to go
shot. I did a shot dry.
Did you really?
He learned
You
that
just had the blaze.
And I've had 2 blazes.
Oh my god. You're going to be up all night.
Can we have a mountain
Sleepy chai down brings you down. Have you tried that?
No.
Dude, it works.
Yeah.
It's like I'm on it every night.
Like on the mountain, right? You take that?
No, I'm just doing it at Brian's house. On the mountain, I want to be a little aware.
We're learning a little bit at a
Wake up
time.
early, just at home.
We're having mountain ops confessionals.
It's like
How much we're doing,
it's like got melatonin in
getting
it.
by.
It makes you dream like real wild dreams.
That's what I don't like about it. I've taken it in other forms, but the melatonin, and then I would dream all night and like crazy wild stuff, and then I'd wake up and not feel rested because I was dreaming all the time.
I love
So I
dreaming.
People say that. We have.
I should be writing them down because I've been having some really wicked dreams lately.
There's books you can get, try to interpret them,
Oh yeah.
figure out what they mean.
Yeah, I've been told.
But if you're on melatonin, they might not mean anything. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
It's like you're just on a trip. You're just like,
It's enhanced.
yep.
It's not real.
No, it's good. I like it. But I only sleep for 6 hours. Always.
Mm.
Then you're up.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you
And then I wake
crash.
up. Yeah, just 6 hours. That's what I get. So if I go to bed at 10, you wake up at like 4:30, and then I kind of lay in bed and go back to bed. But
Even on the mountain too, or at home. Like, is there a difference?
I don't know. The mountain, I can sleep. Yeah, I don't know. I set alarms on the mountain, but
Yeah.
I mean, or let me see the sun comes up. Like I'm just so excited.
Ready?
On.
Speed casting.
I have no plans. We're just going to launch.
Nice.
Ready? Here we go.
Ready.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome, everyone, to the Gritty Podcast. I am in Salt Lake City in the Gritty Studio.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, too. With my good friends from up north, Tanis, Barkman, and Doran Carter. Thank you, Doran. This is what we call
actually Ryan
jumping
Macker.
right in.
Yeah.
And Abe Henderson joining us from also up north nowadays.
Farther north.
Yeah, as of
Much-
recently,
Yeah.
past 18 months about.
Abe, tell me a little bit about. We're going to get into Tanis and Doran in a moment here.
We're old news.
Yeah, we've kind of we're kind of sick of them at this point. No, you have an Instagram called Alaska D.I.Y. By the way, is that underscore or is that straight up? What
I
is that?
did sneak an underscore in there.
Alaska underscore DIY. And you moved up north. When was it?
2 summers ago.
2 summers ago. So
Yeah.
you've lived up there a couple years now?
Almost.
Okay. So
Mhm.
I got to admit, Tanis, Doran, you guys get to go hunt bighorn sheep as BC residents.
oh, baby.
And stones.
And stones. Oh, rub that in.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Tell you
stones.
what's going on.
We get to do, yeah. And so, but as a U.S. Resident, it cost me like some.
Actually,
How much does it cost right now to go?
It's like
what's it
50
going?
grand.
50 grand. That's it. Now, back to you, Abe. What I was going to say, it would cost a U.S. resident a lot of money to go chase sheep. But if you move to Alaska and become a resident...
Which I don't recommend that you do.
There's enough.
And this
I don't
is
recommend
why-
that anyone does that, actually. I just did it, so there's enough people in Alaska now.
You're
You
like,
want to share your tags?
Right.
He's a sheeper for sure. You can just
so
sense
as
it.
a resident, though, you get to chase, like Cole, you guys can go get your own tags and go chase sheep.
Yeah, at the risk of well,
Like
I'll just
Roy
say it.
Roth. How many did Roy...
I don't know.
Like a lot.
Yeah, you could get an over-the-counter tag
Yeah.
every year, and if you're a resident, it's actually free.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
don't even pay a
wow.
tag.
Brown
fee.
bear, stuff like that. Like all
Yeah.
the options become open to you.
That's
But
right.
here's the deal. You have to live in Alaska, and that's a place I like to visit, not reside.
That's
Never
cool.
been?
I
Sorry,
highly
Alaskans.
recommend that.
Sorry, Alaskans.
visit.
What's tough about it, or what's just you don't? It's secretive.
I don't know.
You just don't want it overpopulated. It's a secret.
Here's the deal.
he's a
What's
sheeper.
tough about Alaska
Totally.
is there's no sunshine.
Ooh, for the winter and all sunshine.
That's what
all
they
summer.
tell you, but it's different.
You know, I mean, 8 hours in the wintertime in some areas isn't bad. I guide sea duck hunts all December and January, so we're on the water
Is
every
there
day.
more
It's like-
sunshine in Alaska than there is in Oregon?
No.
Portland, Oregon?
No, there's definitely less.
Yeah, and there's not
But-
enough in Portland. That's why I moved.
But what I was going to say... okay,
There-
fair enough.
we're
Fair
done.
enough. Yes, this is true. But 8 hours a day, solid
Yeah.
in some areas. And then you can go north and have kind of like around 0 hours a day for a couple
Right.
months. So
No,
that's in Alaska, too.
I love Prince of Wales Island.
Yeah.
I love Ketchikan area. I love going up there. And I think I read somewhere there's more wildlife around Prince of Wales Island than any other place in North America. Something like that. Due to the marine environment
Mhm.
added into the land environment. And it's packed with just varied wildlife in Southeast Alaska. And I love going there. I mean, it's someplace you look at and you're like, man, I want to move here. I want to stay here. And Oregon tricks you like that. Like Portland, like you go there in the spring, summer, and you're like, man, I want to live here. It's amazing. And then you experience
Winter's all
rain all day, all the time. And there's a reason that place is green like that.
Yeah, I grew up in Western Oregon, just a little south.
Yeah.
And winters are long and rainy.
Dreary.
Ooh.
They're warmish, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
although the humidity can cut right through your clothes. But you guys live in Fernie, ski town.
A lot of
pretty
rain.
much.
Yeah,
How much rain do you guys get?
No, it
Is it
flashes
mostly
on and
snow?
off. It's
it's
How
hit or
much
miss.
sunlight?
It's
There's
actually
lots
You
of
guys are
good
like
sunlight.
right over the border of Montana.
totally 45 minutes.
45
drive.
minutes from Montana.
Yep.
Which city are you closest to? Big city in Montana.
In Montana would be Eureka, Whitefish, or Kalispell.
Okay.
It's all kind of
Yeah.
like
Kalispell,
southern.
right.
middle. Kalispell's 2 hours away.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Fernie's got really nice weather because it's like
It's beautiful, sunny.
it's not that cold in the winter. It snows a lot,
Mhm.
but sometimes it gets a little warm and it rains a lot. Like if you look at a annual precipitation map, like Fernie's kind of in like an ICH area, which means like interior cedar hemlock, and it's cedar
Hmm.
forest in areas, right? So anywhere you have cedars are wet, obviously on the coast, right? But we're not all. It's just like a microclimate, just a little zone. You go like half an hour west, and it's all montane, and it's ponderosa fir, and there's full of little pothole kettle lakes, so you can just get out of it.
Gotcha.
You know, like typically people live in Fernie, and they're like, "Oh, we hate the snow," so they move 25 minutes west, and it's dry. You're like literally like
South Country called
10 centimeters of snow. That's South
Go
Country,
through a little
10 centimeters
tunnel
of
and-
snow to like 6 feet, 20 minutes
Interesting.
away. Just the way it's the
See-
Kootenai
see,
River.
I'm telling
trench.
you, I could do Fernie. I can't do. Where do you live?
Anchorage.
I can't do Anchorage.
Most
Can't
of
do it.
some of the year, I'm in Anchorage, right? Yeah, that's similar to Washington State, though. We lived in what they call the rain shadow of the Cascades. So
Yeah.
Columbia Basin. All the clouds lift up on the Cascade Mountains and go right over.
So Alaska DIY. The reason I bring this up is because there's some things as a resident you're able to do. There's things that I can do in Alaska as a non-resident, and that's kind of where you're building a little niche and providing some value to people. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so when I started guiding there, my buddies back home were so like, we'd have conversations like, "Oh my God, I'd love to hunt in Alaska. You know, it's my dream hunt. You know," and they had no idea how to get started, no idea how to plan to hunt up there, And I heard that story over and over. So I realized, hey, there's some room, there's, for some information here, to help. Because that's how I grew up in Oregon, and Alaska it might as well has been a million miles away.
Right.
And it seemed, growing up, it seemed like if I got there once in my lifetime, it'd be an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So when I started guiding up there and now living up there, I definitely realized that, hey, the logistics aren't that hard. People just need a little bit of help on how to plan a hunt. How do you plan a hunt in Alaska? And I figured, even getting kind of specific on logistics of travel and lodging and all that kind of stuff, and breaking down tags and for the different species, like you're saying, Brian, that non-residents from lower 48 can come up and hunt, basically caribou, moose, Sitka blacktail, and black bear. I mean, there's a couple others, but
all without a guide.
Without a guide, correct. Thank you, Doran. Yeah, without a guide. There's a lot of opportunity up there. Even as a guide, it's a tricky subject. It's, there's, because what I'm doing is recommending that people come up and utilize a natural resource that I'm also depending on to make a living. Right. But that's who I was. And I'm like, at heart, I'm a blue collar DIY hunter.
Yeah.
And so I can see that side of it too. And I just believe I want to help people accomplish that dream that they've had and actually live it out. So it changed my life.
Well, I get hated on all the time because I say, hey, go to Colorado, and this is a great tag, and so is here Arizona, and Utah does this, and then each state set of residents are like, quit telling people where our cool hunting
Stay
spots
out of
are.
my patch.
Shut up, Brian. But honestly, there's so many opportunities out there, and I just don't think you can look at the world that way. The reality of someone actually making the effort and taking the time to make that trip and to go and do it, and then to do it every year, sometimes it's true. Sometimes you blow up a hunting spot because or a spot or a unit because it's talked about like on my podcast or Randy Newberg's or something.
Right.
But I think that's really uncommon. It's not the norm. And for the most part, hunting opportunities abound. We were just talking about this the other day. There's a decline in hunters by 2 million hunters since 1996 to now.
Really?
So
that's interesting.
I wouldn't have guessed that, to be honest.
So there's 2 million fewer hunters now than there were in 1996. But there are more animals now than there were in 1996, virtually across the board. So I just get tired of hearing people bitch about hunting opportunities not being present. How can they not be present? There's more animals now and fewer hunters by a lot. So let's just be a little more grateful and willing to share, since all in all, the more hunters we can recruit and the more we share this resource, the more people value it and protect it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely.
So that's my little rant.
Yeah, I think hunters go through a transition. Everyone starts hunting and they're a beginner hunter. And, unless your dad showed you the patch, you really don't know where to go. So you figure out your patch, have some success. Now this is your area. You're like, oh, that's my patch, right? Kill a few animals in there. Your friends want to come. You're like, I don't know how this is going to work out, Show a couple people.
Oh, yeah.
Because you need help. You don't want to go all the way in there by yourself, and they're people you care about. And eventually it just happens. You get the hardship, and then pretty soon you go somewhere else, and they brought other people to your patch, and you're like, it takes a while, right?
Yeah.
It also depends on the person, but it takes a bigger man to be like, you know what? I'm going to share. I already had some success in there, right? I get it. If you're striking out, you don't want to share your patch. But if you have some success in there, you got to just give it up,
Yeah.
Move on.
I think hunter recruitment is important.
Yeah.
And also adventure as a human. Tanis has been on some adventures. Tanis, where have you been around the world?
All over the place, really. As soon as I graduated from high school, speaking of 96, back when there were more hunters, I wasn't involved in hunting at all, really. I was raised in a somewhat little bit of a hunting family, but my dad got a little too emotional by the time I was able to start shooting things on my own. And I really actually didn't like meat as a kid very much. My mom would be frying steaks and be like, I didn't like shrimp. I didn't really want any kind of... But yeah, so it wasn't on the radar at all. But right after I graduated, I went to Turkey and I lived there for about a year. Then I came back home.
Lied about your age?
Yeah, I had
Well
to
done.
lie. Yeah, it was recommended. I had to as part of the job. They're like, we'll hire you as a teacher, but you got to lie to people. Instead of saying you're 18, tell them you're 24, because that way they think you went to school and university and they take you serious.
Yeah.
So forgive me, all my Turkish students that I had. They busted me though. So, and then after that, I came back home for a little bit, and then I wanted to go back to Europe, and I ended up staying in Amsterdam, which I thought was going to be about a week, and it ended up being 2 years. That was pretty badass. It was a full different version of me. I was partying and young and experimental and stuff like that. And then after that, I came home, and then I just didn't want to live in Winnipeg anymore. And I felt like I was like drawn towards snowboarding for some weird, ridiculous reason. I was like, saw it in magazines. I was like, I can do that, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to love it. And it's going to be awesome. I'm going to get airtime. I can just envision it. And so I was just, had a boyfriend at the time, shipped it into, we did actually like this little tour of Western Canada. Fernie caught my attention the best and ended up going there. And then, from there I went to Central America for a 1.5 month tour, did a scuba diving course. Super fun with a girlfriend of mine, Tammy. And then after that, still in Fernie for a bunch of years doing my thing. And then I took half a year off and I went to South America. Hitchhiked and tented around. And then
That was by yourself?
By myself.
Where in South America?
Well, I started in Argentina, and then I went through the center of Argentina, hitchhiking to the coast. It was super wild, really cool, really oceanic life world on the beach that I'm just super new to, like blew my mind for sure. I didn't know all that, like 70,000 penguins, at this penguineria. And they're all waddling around, squawking, all covered in and there's poop and stuff. And then there's all these like pumas, they call them, because you had to walk in. They didn't want you disturbing a lot of things, but these pumas would come in and it looked like pillow fights. They would do like kill practice, teaching their young to kill. Right. So it was just hilarious. Be like, pillow fight, all these white blasted feathers. You're like, poor little penguins don't stand a chance. They can't go anywhere. Yeah. These awkward feet, and
they're just getting picked off by the pumas.
Picked off.
Here,
time.
daughter, this is how you kill. Yeah, interesting.
And then I hitchhiked back, and I hitchhiked all the way down to the south, where like I was 20 kilometers away from the Atlantic, met the Pacific, and it's really cool, really beautiful, really rugged, really like a lot of old pirates and sailor activity, all these like a lot of sunken ships, and there was a lot of sailor exploration that happened. It was kind of neat culture going on down there. No man's land though, total Chilean rednecks everywhere. It was pretty awesome, and sleeping in my tent. No bears though. It's pretty cool. You got your backpack, food, whatever. Tented it, and then I came all the way back up the coast. I did the like Torres del Paine, the Chilean. It's an epic mountain. I don't know how to explain it. It's really cool mountain
hiking trails,
but it's a unique mountainous features of. Yeah, you have to read about it. I was pretty young, wasn't paying a lot of attention. Then I came up the coast, a lot of deserts, and then I meet Doran in Peru in Lima. Blew his mind. Never traveled. That's super funny. Awesome adventure.
It was
cool. Awesome.
Did a lot of surfing. Then he shipped it out of there, and then I did a lot of hikes in Peru and
the knifing though.
Yeah, in Belize.
That happened with Tammy.
Well, yeah,
but it wasn't a true knifing.
It was a threat.
Yeah,
knife threat. Yeah.
Tell us about that because this is hilarious.
Just the shadiest character ever. We get to Belize, and this was in the Central American tour that I did with my girlfriend Tammy. And this guy to me, I should have known, right? We got this skinny runt of a man with these glazed over eyes, a clear and true and tried complete crackhead, and he's like, I'll bring you to a place of friends, you can crash there.
Find a place to stay.
Yeah, because it's all, you're basically sleeping with people's, like, in their homes. And but then he brings us into this, starting to get a little shady. I don't know. I still felt comfortable. And then he brings us into this place. It's dingy. It's gross. I'm like, we're not staying here, And then he's like, well, give me $5 or I'm going to stab you. And I'm just like, dude, a little insulted. I was like, come on. I felt like I could have just snapped his little arm. Like, he was just so frail and malnourished. I was like, you don't stand a chance. You don't even have shoes on. And Tammy's like, no, give him the $5. Like, she's feeling threatened, and fair enough. And I'm just like, I'm not giving him $5.
Your mom would be disappointed.
Well, and then Tammy's like, she's starting to pull out her money, and I felt more awkward, her pulling out money than this crack. I was like, and then Tammy's like, I'm giving him the $5, and I start scolding him. I was like, your mom would be ashamed. You're the first person I met, and this is how you treat, this is the first introduction to Belize, and your mother would be ashamed of your state and you should sober up. And I was just lecturing him. Tammy's giving him the five bucks. And then we turned around, we went back to the main street. We see him physically buying crack. And I'm like, good Lord, we ended up finding a nice place to crash.
What was he doing when you were chewing him out?
He definitely was like looking at his feet and kind of doing the like, well, I did, just a little bit of crack. He was taking the scolding for sure, but he didn't give a care at all. He was looking at that money like that cash is turning into smokables right now.
Yeah. But you've been around the world. You've had some adventures, experienced some things.
I was actually telling your wife, Suzanne, I was saying I'm really glad that things happened in my life the way they did. I'm glad I didn't find snowboarding before I traveled because traveling was so epic and cool. And then I found snowboarding and it consumed my life like so much, And then I was like leaving that and I was just about to leave Fernie and I'm like, okay, I've had fun. I'm a traveler. And then I meet Dorn. I'm just like, whew. And I was vegetarian and I was like, I was thinking of getting into hunting. There's a cool scene. Thinking of eating meat again, and meet him, and then it just started into mountain exploration, and then it's just like horse hunting. I feel like I've been a cowboy forever, and so it's kind of neat that none of my addictions happened before.
Quick question for you, and then I'm going to get back over
yeah,
here.
sorry, I got super sidetracked. I'm really high in Mountain Ops Ignite. I've been blazing.
Mountain Ops virgin here.
We've had some supplements pushed upon us. I think
I'm a full swing addict.
It's
here.
been fun.
I like them.
Tanis, Nolan had a question. Yeah, he had a question for you.
How much cow horse you gotta have in your?
Yeah, because he says how much horse does a cowboy hat have to qualify as a cowboy hat? Is that
as a cowboy hat? Was it in reference specifically to his hat, or because when we met at the Wild Sheep Show Foundation party, that was really fun to meet him for sure, but he was all swank and dolled up, and it was the Saturday night banquet, when he rolls in, and I was like, oh, damn, the boy cleans up nice, I was like, you don't have enough horse shit on yourself to qualify as a cowboy, so pretty sure that's the right question.
So how much does it take? Just a little or
fragrance,
like a fragrance?
Yeah,
I don't think there's any level. I think
it can be tucked under the brim. You can have like just a little skiff of horse under your heel.
Just something.
Just enough. People tell me all the time, like grocery store line, like, you smell like horse, and they're like sniffing you out.
All right.
Love that guy, by the way, Nolan. Really
yes.
cool guy. Glad to meet him.
Towing the Line. He was in that film. Tanis, when it comes to travel, why do you think going to these different places is important, or do you?
Oh, I think traveling is like one of the best things people can do. It's very... It teaches you to remove yourself from your comfort zone, Like even Dora and I had a few little, there's one moment where we kind of accidentally, when you're sleeping on the bus and you get up and you're like,
we got off the bus in the wrong town.
Wrong town. Didn't even know until the next day. So we're trying to find it was later, it was dark, but you get these moments where you're just like, ooh, you feel very vulnerable. You feel really kind of, I'm sure you felt that way when you went to Alaska, you're just out of your element, something totally different. Even Hillary and Ryan, when we were chatting with them, and they said they just up and moved to Colorado. It's just a calling. You feel it. You want to go. Time for an adventure. And it was at a point when snowboarding for me, it was so epic, but it was kind of, I wasn't quite sure if I should be doing something else, and just fills your whole soul with adventure. And that trip for me was one of the best 6 months of my life. Like, it just really fills you with a lot of adventure. Yeah. And awareness and reality and liveliness. And I think it's important to move around, do stuff, and change.
So, Abe, how has this switch to Alaska been?
It's been great for me. So I married young and have a big family. So my wife and I have 5 kids.
Ooh.
Yeah, and our oldest is 15.
Oh, my oldest is 15.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun?
It is fun.
Yeah. And then our youngest...
Although I think you're a lot younger than me.
I might be 37. So.
Yeah, I'm just 44.
Yeah, no,
37-year-old is 50. What's that math
awesome.
on that? 22?
Yeah, 22.
Started getting going.
Yeah.
So this is your first big move as a full family?
First big move as a family. We've bounced around a little bit in Washington State, but not like this. So
everyone's
for me,
cool with it?
Yeah. Well, that's the issue, right? So Tanis, yeah, you're onto that. Thinking like a...
Well, it's
like
hard to orchestrate. It's hard for us to even dictate just the two of us doing something. Never mind.
Right.
7 people.
Yep. So I started working in Alaska as a packer. It's kind of how you start Human Mule, in 2009.
Okay.
And then I worked seasonally for several years. When the twins were born, though, so we have twin 6-year-olds, so that's the
That
spread.
jams them in a little tighter.
Yeah. So when they were born, I was like, oh man, I cannot take off 2 months and go guide in Alaska or whatever. Got to stay home with mama, And so I ended up taking a few years off. And we had talked about moving there for a decade before we actually did it. So a full 10 years. So when I talk to people who are thinking about moving to Alaska, I always tell them, like, yeah, you can totally do it. They're like, no, my wife will never go for it. I was like, neither would mine.
Yeah.
But 10 years later,
we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
Whispering in their sleep really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, right.
Whispering and, you wake up. I think I'm thinking of going.
You know what really helped was vacationing up there with taking my wife up and leaving the kids at home and having a nice time.
Good move.
Yeah.
That's tricky.
Yep. And then the other thing too was that I also recognized that I wasn't pushy about it at all. It was just my dream. But we have so much family and close friends in Washington State and the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. That's hard to ask your wife, who's got 5 kids and they all have cousins, aunts, uncles, all this, to just uproot and move a long ways away. And you can't just drive back to see them whenever you want to.
Well, and that families help, right? Because, the one kid pops off to cousins for an overnighter. That's one less.
Man.
It really helps having that family around as far as distributing the workload.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jessica's parents there in Spokane, every cousin's birthday is 15 kids. It's like every holiday's at their house. So
now it's just you guys.
Now it's just us in Alaska.
Candle
but
no
it's
electricity.
Well, not for people. If anybody's listening and thinking Alaska's full of igloos and it's all
so people think Canadians
living in the bush.
Yeah,
it's actually a pretty good sized city.
Yeah,
so.
I had no idea Anchorage had 260,000 people.
Yeah, it's
just
298 or something.
Wow.
300 basically.
Yeah.
So you make this move, and even though you're in the guiding industry and you're doing this for a living, you still have in your heart this Alaska DIY thing. Basically, you're giving people tools to do these things on their own, right?
Right. Yep.
Of this content you've created, what has been the most read or consumed thing you've brought forward?
So it's a very new project still. I don't even think I've launched. I think it's been maybe 12 months now. The first thing I put out was Kodiak Sitka Blacktail Guide, right? So that's and the idea is on the website you go on and it's an information product, kind of like Elk 101 or something like that, right? So you buy the product, unlocks the website, and it's a whole bunch of information, right?
Is it for people to go hunting?
To learn how to plan their hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think that Kodiak Island Sitka Blacktail, and you were just there, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, is an awesome, huge adventure. It's a great first trip to Alaska hunt that you can – it's realistic to pull it off, right?
Oh, very, very realistic, and probably ranks up there in terms of adventure near the top.
Yep.
But doesn't cost a fortune done yourself.
Exactly. And so it's hard.
Some of my first adventures that I did was Prince of Wales Blacktail, Prince of Wales Black Bear.
Black Bear, yeah.
When I got my tag, it was just over the counter when I first started going. Now it's a draw unit, and I've drawn it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Out of 3 times, but I know others have missed 3. They're 0 out of 3. Somehow, me and bears, I'm lucky with bear. I can't draw. Well,
Maybe
now I'm lucky with mountain goat, too, because I just drew Kodiak mountain goat tag.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
When did you find that out? Exciting.
It was Friday.
It was during the show.
Great.
Yeah. Cole, I drew it with Cole Kramer, so Cole and I will go back after it.
Yeah. I'll probably see you on the island.
Yeah.
Or at least we'll be there at the same time for sure.
So,
They got some big goats up there.
They do?
Mm-hmm.
Tannis. I'm going to see this? Billy.
Yeah.
Get me a big goat. So, but yeah, I'd say adventure for $1. So Prince of Wales, when I went there for Sitka Blacktail, I put all my stuff in a backpack that I would need for living there for a week. Everything, all in one pack. Same thing I would take into the backcountry to hunt elk, right? But tailored for Prince of Wales. Landed, took the ferry from Ketchikan across the river. Rented a car from Hollis Adventure Rental or whatever. He had like 3 cars or 4 cars in the fleet, and they were hodgepodge cars. Rented that, drove up a trail that we found on Google Earth, and then we hiked to the top of the mountain up into the Alpine.
What is that?
The lights just went off.
The lights.
They don't
It's like,
come on.
You should go home now.
That's creepy.
Oh, it feels like we're in the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make a little campfire in the middle with the
That's awesome.
phone
Yeah,
lights.
folks
Look at
that are listening, we lost power briefly. No, the lights go off automatically at 7 o'clock.
Oh,
I didn't even
that's
see
awesome.
that coming.
That's kind of
So,
cool.
folks, it is 7 p.m. on President's Day.
President's Day.
This is
President's
podcast number 12.
Oh.
But
That's
flew
awesome.
down there, got the rental car, hiked to the top of the mountain, shot $3, came back, bought a cooler at the local store, threw my meat and hides and everything in there, and then checked it as baggage onto the airplane and flew home.
What time of year? What temperature was that?
It was August.
Warmer, a little bit.
It was
Gotta
the
go
end
home.
of August. It was raining quite a bit. It rained 5 to 6 days out of the 7. So we had one sunny day. That's why when I say if you're going to go to Southeast Alaska, give yourself at least 10 days, preferably 15,
Yeah.
because you could be rained out for half of that. And it's pretty tough to hunt when you can't see 6 feet in
Yeah.
front of you. And you're talking torrential downpours, like
That really tests out your gear, your mental capabilities, your, just your general.
we're still a little new, but we had done some things. But I grew up in Oregon, so I was used to just being wet.
Yeah.
And we were just wet the whole time. You just dealt with
Sometimes
it.
that's what you got to do.
And we
Yeah.
pitched our
You
tent
just get
in
wet,
this
or else
alpine
you
meadow.
don't hunt.
And the alpine meadow had that. What's that rubbery plant? It kind of just grows like it's like a short plant that's like this tall, like 4 inches, and it's just like squeaky when you walk on it, and it's just dense. It's just
Never been.
It just. I have pictures of it. I'll show you. But
Squeaky moss.
I used to know the name of it. But anyway, we set up our tent there, and when the rain came, it just gushed, and pretty soon there was like a 3-inch bed of water
Wow.
just coming off the hill, and we were stuck in the tent for like
Got no
3
refuge.
days. We just took our water filters and just filtered right out the door as the water rolled. And we were in a mountain hardware tent with we actually brought a floor for it, that little bathtub thing. It felt like a waterbed inside the tent because you
I
pushed
bet.
on it because there's
Oh,
so
yeah, I've
we
been
were
in that situation before.
We were in basically a creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's super sloped, but it never leaked, and we were
That's amazing.
dry in there.
Yeah.
And
I did a similar thing earlier this last year. Went up the Haul Road and hunted caribou in the Arctic, and I camped out on the tundra. And people, when they think of tundra, I don't think they think of what it really is.
Right.
It's basically a marsh, or
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
standing water with these knobby grass tussocks.
yeah.
So when I did it, I actually crossed the river in my alpaca raft, and then I packed my alpaca raft out onto the tundra and then laid it out and put my tent over the
That's
top
smart.
of
Good.
it so that I could actually
Do it himself.
sleep on the tundra.
Yeah, yeah.
Did
So,
done
but
did it
under
himself.
that,
Genius.
squish, in your tent, but dry.
Yeah.
Right.
But you could even put air into that, blow it up, and maybe
You could potentially. I thought
you
about
might
it, but I
start
never.
drifting down. The
Right,
mountain. You get
right.
yourself
If
a
it rained,
vessel.
no, seriously,
All
yeah,
right, we're set sail.
yeah.
Tent and all.
But I think you brought up that was really good advice though about the 10 to 15 days in
Yeah.
Alaska, and it's kind of universal. I think if you're gonna take the time to come up to Alaska, especially on a DIY
The
hunt,
expense to get there,
Yep.
the planning, the timing. Just give yourself extra
More time.
days. Yeah.
Good call.
more time. Weather's one thing, but the other thing is learning curve. If you've never done it before and you take like a 5 or a 6 or 7 day hunt, but that's that like a lot of times that amount of time is what it takes to really dial it in and figure it out if it's something you're not used to doing,
Yeah, it's your first time there. You
Yep.
don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, that's why I think like Kodiak Island is next level. I mean, you got black bears on POW, and they're all over, and you can hunt black bear, and that's an awesome DIY hunt. I've talked about it a million times. And then there's the Sitka blacktail. But then you go to Kodiak, and the blacktail are they just seem
huge.
bigger. Not that, I mean, there's some big ones on POW as well, but it's dense. And it's on Kodiak, you can just see forever, and you can just glass buck. You'll see hundreds of them.
It's a different hunt. Yep. I love it on Kodiak Island. It's one of my favorite places. It was actually the first place I went hunting in Alaska was when I started packing. I got to pack a spring brown bear hunt on Kodiak Island for 2 weeks straight.
That's
like
a dream hunt is a brown bear hunt
Yep.
on Kodiak.
It felt like I won the lottery, right? I love Kodiak. So the blacktail guide really, I mean, I just put it out there. It's A to Z logistics. Like if you sat down with a credit card and a phone and you can make quick decisions, you can plan your hunt in an hour to 2.
How much does it cost to access that?
Right now,
Drop it. Tell me.
No, I'm going to tell you, but I'm curious about when you're going to release this podcast because the price is going to change here shortly.
It's going to go up because of the demand.
So it's going to be $147.
Okay.
And what I've got in there is not only exactly how to plan the hunt, but like reputable transporters that have been on the island for a long time to do a good job that I recommend, like ideas for lodging, a lot of cost saving tips.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna recoup more than $150 just through the cost saving tips on like when you're planning your hunt, kind of like genius little hacks and tricks and stuff to save money along the way. And then also areas like do not skimp on this, and this. Right. Like you need this gear list. I mean, the whole thing. Recommendations on extra stuff to do if you have extra time. There's a lot in there. I put a lot of thought and a lot of time into it.
So, what is your thought on caribou on the Haul Road, or even there's caribou on Kodiak?
Yeah, I didn't really talk about caribou on Kodiak. I didn't. They are there.
Not yet.
Well. Not, yeah, I guess we're talking about it now, right? I'm not an expert on caribou on Kodiak. I've never hunted them and never guided for them, but they are there and they are available. And I have friends who have done it. Yep, you've seen
when I was there, but I didn't quite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just get a tag and go do it. It's also DIY.
Yeah. Caribou on the Haul Road, though, that's really cool. And then
how does it compare? Do you know
to caribou on Kodiak?
Yeah.
Oh, way more caribou, and just a completely different environment. But look, that is such a cool hunt.
The Haul Road.
Yeah.
I've heard good and bad about it.
That's fair, but if you're willing to hike,
does the $147 access that information too?
No.
Come on,
I know,
right?
Right now, I'll be releasing in the next few weeks the Haul Road Caribou Guide, and then Kodiak Island Caribou Guide. So Kodiak Island is way out on the Aleutian chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's way out on the Aleutian chain. It's like,
does that have brown bear on it?
No, it doesn't. No bears, no predators, caribou all over it.
Whoa.
But it's got some serious weather. So, and if you want to check out the weather's
scary.
Did you see
Weather's scary, but it doesn't rip your throat out.
Yeah.
You just,
it does not rip your throat out. Yes, this is true. It can rip your tin up. That's for sure.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
It'll still kill you.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Did you see the teaser for the film?
No.
Yeah, we filmed it. We just released the teaser like right before Expo.
So where's the film?
It'll be on YouTube on March 5th. It comes out.
What's the name of it?
ADAK.
ADAK.
ADAK. That's
okay.
it, ADAK.
And you're basing the guide to go off of this film.
Yeah.
This experience.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be the same thing.
So people can get a view of kind of what it's like.
That's right. It can either scare them off or like watch the film and think like, oh, okay, that's something I'd like to try out. And then the guide is, of course, turnkey logistics on how to make it happen and pull it off, and tips and tricks and recommendations on how to hunt caribou there and all that.
Very cool.
Yeah. You've had Alan Bullen on the show, right?
Yes.
So he and I, we met on the jet on the way out there. They were going out. He took his son and a buddy. And so we were on the island the same time.
Nice.
And we did a couple podcasts together too. So
that's pretty sweet. Break it down for me. The 147 gives me access to the whole site, or is that per kit? Or?
It's per kit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's they're standalone products right now. My long-term vision is that it would be more like unlock the site so they didn't have access to everything.
Gotcha.
Right now, I don't have all the content in there that would make that valuable, right? So they're standalone products. But here's the way I look at it. Going to Alaska, and actually what it was is not just going to Alaska, having the courage to pursue my dreams and make that happen, changed my life completely. Just total life changer, right? So if somebody's ever dreamed of going to Alaska, and that's a dream that they've had, and the not knowing how to plan a hunt has been what's kept them. What's $150 or $200?
Oh yeah,
to live out, like make your dream actually happen and
give you the confidence to do it.
Yeah,
right. Instead of all these unknowns.
Exactly,
it's a great idea.
Exactly.
Well, that way you're not diddle banging around trying to put things together. You know what I mean?
Oh, you could easily blow $150 just by doing it wrong or without the best.
For sure.
Way more than that.
Yeah.
Actually.
I wonder how much.
Yeah, like you'd ruin your whole entire experience just by not knowing anything.
The real question is your guide any good?
I don't know. I mean, I wrote it, so I'm biased. It's like, ask a parent if their kids are cool. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to. No, that's really it. I mean, you put a lot of work into it and describing it. I haven't seen it yet, so I want to check it out.
We'll fix that.
Has it brought you success?
I mean, it's brought me success in every way that I've desired success. I mean, I'm just trying to help people, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, so inspire them to go chase their dream down, right? But also like it's very actionable, and the way that it's designed is to give information only as like metering out information. So a lot of the recommendations come as the decision needs to be made. So it's kind of like A through Z, like start reading it and like, yeah, that's a Haul Road caribou.
Jeez.
It's a nice
I need
bull.
to,
Check that.
I need
You
to
can't
do
just
that.
show him.
It's
Did
a
you
cool
kill
hunt.
one?
I didn't. I'll tell you. I can tell you why I didn't. Because
Sorry, I derailed this
No,
whole
it's fine.
conversation.
Yeah, you're pulled up Instagram. That's cool. I went up there and I had to be back in Anchorage for sheep season in early August.
Okay.
That hunt opens August 1st. So I had all of like 2.5 days to hunt. And I took a rifle. I didn't take my bow. So I was, okay, and this is the reason why I don't like Onyx hunt. I'm very conflicted about Onyx hunt. I took my rifle, so there's a 5-mile corridor that's archery only, and then outside the 5 miles is rifle.
Okay.
Or any weapon, you should say. So I found a bull last morning outside the 5-mile corridor. So I'm hiking 5 miles out across Tundra. If you guys have walked on Tundra.
It's very wet.
It's wet. And anyway, so I'm drawing lines with Onyx maps. Is this bull farther than 5 miles from the road, right? Sure enough, it was 5.5 miles bedded down. So I start putting a stock on it and closing the distance. I saw it from like 1.5 miles away. Gets up, starts walking towards the road, beds back down again. So I get within about 200 yards. I'm drawing lines from, triangulating from the different curves in the road, trying to figure out, is this thing 5 miles away? The best I could figure, it was just inside 5 miles by maybe 100 yards.
Oof.
And I thought, if this was paper maps like back in the day, you'd be like, oh, it's got to be 5 miles.
Yeah.
But with Onyx, it's so precise. So I went
Which can
around.
work for you or against you.
Yeah,
I guess.
right.
And
So
you have, yeah.
So I went around and I got the bull up and I tried to push him away from the road, which was successful. But then I was concerned I might have been inside the 5 mile boundary. And the wording is like you can't hunt within 5 miles.
So you can't shoot when you're inside it.
Yeah, and assuming that the animal has to be outside as well,
Yeah,
right?
for
Like
sure.
all that activity needs to be out. So I chased this caribou. We were sprinting across the tundra on a parallel line. Like he and I and the road were all parallel, and I'm trying to like get him to push back so I can come out. And it was very silly. It was, if somebody had been there filming, they would have been like, what is happening right now? I'm just running. I dropped my pack. Tundra is really tricky.
Not a good idea to drop your pack.
Yes, thank you. I pinned it with Onyx Maps, though.
That's better.
In a hurry, while I was running. Just sprinting, rifle in hand. A cell phone in one hand with Onyx Maps up on it. Rifle in the other hand, slogging across the tundra with a bull just trotting.
Technology.
Yeah. Couldn't get him outside 5 miles, so let him walk. But it was fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, that's just part of the hunt.
Yep. Saw
Well, there is
muskox every day.
Something awesome about that do-it-yourself kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And making it happen. I don't know. It's like you were saying, Tanis, like that travel. Like for me, every time I travel somewhere and have a new adventure, doesn't it just like expand? Like you're thinking about what's possible in life, or like how cool the world is.
What can I do next?
Yeah, exactly.
I just did that, survived. What can I do next?
It's like a muscle, and every time you travel, you're working out and getting stronger. You're just like, oh, I can do more. Oh, I'm going to go like farther and do crazier stuff.
The more you do, the more confidence you get.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Exactly.
hunters, if you really do meet them, especially like deep mountain hunters that get off roads and hike and do whatever, they all have kind of similar characteristics that they just love to find that adventure, somewhat sort of be alone. They love that, they need the saturation of nature a little bit inside their soul every once in a while. But obviously, the more you see, the more you want to see, right? Every adventure is always looking over that
next bend?
Oh, yeah.
Just one more, there's poetry written about it from the first explorers in the early 1900s, what's his name?
The saturation of nature inside your soul. That's a good line, Tanis.
Yeah.
That's a good line. That's a good word.
Saturation inside your soul.
Saturation of
And it's
nature.
addictive, though. It's definitely something that, we all know.
Yeah. That's cool. I love Alaska. I love the North Country. I'm super excited to go to New Zealand
Oh,
Yeah.
I
in
bet.
May.
I'm super
Yeah.
drawn to it.
And what are you going to be hunting down there?
Feral
Tar.
cats.
Just
Feral cats.
all I want is tar.
Bring your good
DIY.
Bring your good boots.
Free range public land.
So
Yep.
you'll do a DIY guide,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And film.
but it's not Alaska.
Yeah, I know. I need your help, Brian. I could actually use a hand with this. I need to rebrand because I want to. There's too much. It's like flexing that muscle.
good
Like
to
you do
have
these little
something.
adventures, and then you're starting to look at the other side of the world.
Oh yeah.
You're looking at stuff that you barely hear anything about. It's like, oh, I can go make that happen.
Well, that's the
Oh,
thing is
totally.
there's so much do-it-yourself opportunity at various price points for some epic adventures. And it's funny, I did a number of podcasts on New Zealand in a film, and
You've been once?
once,
Yeah.
and the audience was there's a huge portion of the audience that's just loves it, and then there's another portion of the audience that
10% haters.
yeah, Dorn nailed it. No, there's a portion of the audience that's like, yeah, I don't relate to that. No interest in that. I don't want to leave my country, or I don't want to leave North America or something like
Don't
that.
want
That's
or
cool,
just
too.
don't
Everyone
trust
to their
yourself?
own.
Yeah, right.
Whatever the reason,
Yeah.
and I can't speak to the reason. There's just some intense pushback. Sometimes I think it's just flat out, they just assume it's unattainable. It's too expensive. I think that people who have traveled and gone to other countries, once you've done it a few times, you're hooked.
It's
Well, you
worth
almost
it.
want the unknown, you know?
Yeah. That's
like
what
in the modern age of knowing everything on your phones and stuff, sometimes it's a little like anticlimactic, Like part of you always wants to just know, like you don't even want to know. You're
Yeah.
like, let's just go. Sounds like an adventure, it appeals to us to want to go.
and everyone has different taste. But for me, once I went to New Zealand and I was chasing tar up in the Southern Alps, I was hooked. Hooked. It's special.
Oh, I bet.
I can't wait. I've never heard a single person who's been give even like a mediocre report.
Look
It's
at
always
the
glowing, like it's
scenery where they
amazing.
live, like
Best,
tar
yeah,
is
best trip of my life, kind of a
looks
thing.
so
I'm
good.
stoked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When do you go?
Well, right now it's looking like late May, the last 2 weeks of May.
Right.
Maybe even early June. I'm going to try to stay as long as I can. Yeah, there's a lot
How
to do.
long are you going for, did you say?
Well, definitely 2 weeks, maybe 3 if I can.
Probably try for 3.
Yeah, that's what I'd
Plan
like
for
to do.
weather.
I know I'm going to take a stick bow. Try to shoot a tar. Is that doable, Brian? To shoot a tar with a stick bow?
Oh, yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
recurve?
Oh, yeah.
I'm stoked.
Now,
Yeah.
you're...
Are you going to bring a gun as well?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, Ryan Lampers and I are going to go down and take Micah from Silverline Films and
Yeah.
oh, and you
Sweet.
know Jeff Lusk, right?
Oh,
Jeff
yeah.
Lusk is going to come. So it's going to be a
Jeff's a
fun crew.
That's an awesome crew. Good. I heard him
Yeah.
say something like he's going to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Maybe 4
Absolutely
weeks.
doable with a stick bow.
Cool.
But one thing I noticed was, with a bow, sometimes you hunt the terrain, not the animal. And there were areas where, because we were guided by rifle hunters, right? A couple guys that mostly rifle hunt, and they're awesome. And they've killed a bit with their bows as well. But being able to hunt cliffs where the tar are right there killable underneath you is a lot different than hunting an open flat when there's 30 nannies running around and just one bull tar. It's like,
Tough getting in.
It's a lot more eyes.
yeah. And so some of it has to do with just when you're talking about close encounter stalking opportunities. It's a lot easier in certain terrain. And so even when I'm hunting, when I look at the goat hunting I did with Bart Lancaster in BC, there was a set of cliffs that were all terraced and perfect, tailor-made for bow hunting. Like you see a goat there and you're like, yeah, I could totally get above that and shoot it. There's just like steps and blind spots where the goats can't see you coming. And then there was a couple spots where goats were hanging out, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you could try to hunt this spot for 6 months and not have one be in a killable spot, right? So I think it's the same with any mountain animal.
I kind of like it when animals are all in these areas where you just. Sometimes I'm just want to applaud them. Like, good for you. You guys are just in an area
They
where
figured
like
it out.
Untouchable.
well,
They
they just
figured
it's
it
so wide open, or it's hard terrain, or I don't know. There's some moments.
You're
where-
rooting for them.
you just good for you. Fair
Yeah.
case,
There was a goat that Bart and I watched one day, and we just sat and watched it all day. I sat and watched it. Bart was looking for other things, but I saw this goat, and I just was fascinated. And this cliff was thousands of feet up, straight vertical, and this goat is just jumping gaps
Yeah.
and
So
landing
cool to
on a
watch.
cliff
Nice.
that's just straight up vertical, and he just
Doesn't make sense.
doesn't even make sense. It looks like something only a spider should be on.
And then when they do find this like precarious kind of ledge, and then they take a nap, and it's like hoofs hanging over the edge of 1,000-foot drops. They're just goats. I love goats so much.
It's so unreal.
The way they sleep, like me and Doran once thought we saw this dead goat. We're like, oh, that,
Yeah, we were so confused.
This thing was flipped upside down. The hoofs were like pretty much in the air. Like we thought it was dead for sure, that someone might have shot it on this spiner ridge, and then maybe it came on this side, and it looked like literally the goat had fallen asleep and slid down the shale as it was sleeping, because there's no other way. It would just look like
feet were facing up the slope.
I mean, Doran, glass and hours, and we kept looking at him like, oh, it's unfortunate, poor guy.
He just died.
Oh, that's too bad.
Died.
We keep waiting to see maybe there's someone's going to come over and just like look down and be like, oh, there
start
he went.
gutting him or something.
And then poof, pops up, he sort of shakes himself off a bit, and he's walking around like, oh, wow. Like, and he was in the most precarious, awkward, total hazardous. Like, if he could have kept sliding, he might have just plopped right off there. But he was so relaxed, didn't care.
It was strange.
Made us giggle for days. We're like, what a guy.
They're probably our favorite animals to watch. Like, you go out.
They are.
Yeah, you go out in the spring and you watch the baby goats run around.
You got to watch my goat film, Tanis.
Oh, I would love to.
I've seen it, right?
Doran saw most of it. When I was up there and I saw this goat doing its thing, it climbed into this chute where it just put both hooves on each side and just like chimneyed it up this chute, and it was like eating off these rocks and everything. I'm like, what is it eating, Bart? He wasn't.
Cool.
It blew my mind what they were doing.
Well, we once went up, so there's this really big drainage we got into. It took us quite a while. We had some of the most epic National Geographic styled action going on, where this eagle comes swooping in on this little group of I think it's mostly nannies and kids.
That was awesome.
And it was in summer, and this eagle's just doing this with talons out, and all the nannies swarm around the kid, and they're like stabbing into the air with their horns, and they're protecting the kid. It was so cool.
Really?
But it's way in this drainage, and we're like, it was very steep banked kind of, the rock walls going on. And me and Doran see this one goat trail, and we knew from Google Earth that on top of that was this flat plateau kind of thing, alpine plateau. And so we're like, oh, we really want to go up there. And we're like, it looks a bit steep, we'll try it out. And then there was this little goat trail that went off to this, looked like a little cave, We're like, okay, we'll go up there. Maybe we'll check out the cave. But as we were hiking up there, it was so steep that you couldn't actually relax and put your knees. You couldn't touch your knees down with your feet at the same time, or you would slide the whole way back. And we get up there, and we're like thinking about going to the cave, and we're literally like this. I'm like, oh no, we're not going to the cave. We're just trying to. And I'm scared that Doran's just gonna like not be able to physically be on this steep of a. We were like, holy goats are just, shouldn't follow goat trails. Don't ever follow goat trails around.
Hey, Brent, bring up Alaska DIY on Instagram.
Your goat video?
So this is, I do have a little goat footage on there, but I didn't take this video. I was on the island guiding, and a guy in town took it. And when I got back to town, I saw the video. It was tagged Kodiak, but I asked to share it, so it's on my page too. It's a brown bear chasing a goat down the mountain.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm not going to give it away. We're going to try to get it on the screen.
I wished we would have. I wish I was more on it with that.
Yeah.
Eagle was pretty cool.
A few years ago, I got to watch, we were brown bear hunting in the spring on South Kodiak Island, and got to watch a bear, like about a 8.5 to a 9 foot boar, like chasing goats around this rock on a mountain.
Yeah,
big boar. Just went round and around it, and it chased them for probably about 15 to 20 minutes. Not like running hard, but just, it was like kind of running it back and forth across this rock, and the goats would hop up and hop down, and he finally just gave up and left. But this video here, the goats
video
are so
is
fortunate.
Wild.
Isn't that crazy? So I want to give credit to the guy who got the video. It's Ben Shryock, like at Ben Shryock.
Can you play it, Brent?
Yeah, I can. I'm waiting for you.
Is where I found
ready.
it.
Oh yeah, we're ready.
So folks that are watching on YouTube, you can see it.
I love seeing bears.
That bear's
run.
probably a lot faster than those goats.
Yeah, they're
That cursor, Brent.
Bear looks somewhat out of control. Looks like his legs are flailing. He's
Man, he's just giving her.
Just giving her.
Wow.
He's getting dinner. This is.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Look at that bear, dude. Look at how slow that goat is.
Yeah, it's a long ways from cliffs. That's the problem here.
And the bear knows it.
Yeah,
goat
knows it too.
Oh man, he's gonna get it. Oh,
shaky cell phone footage.
That's nature.
Oh wait,
trees Cockblocking.
Whoever
He's
filmed
running.
this did a good job.
He's running.
He's running to get over the hill so he can.
Action. Oh, gets it.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
Whoa.
That's why they're the top predator.
Oh my god.
Dude, look at him grab that goat.
He's dragging it off like a rabbit.
How big?
Goats will fight though.
Is that
Like
mature?
No, at the
is
very
another
beginning
there?
of the video, there's two, and it looks like maybe a yearling goat.
Yeah.
Did you see, like, at the very beginning?
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they
out.
split
Yeah,
off.
how they
They're-
split off. Yeah.
That's why goats. You don't usually see goats in wide open meadows for that reason.
Well, Kodiak's kind of special like that. There's
Well,
a lot of goats.
When I spoke to Bart, we were in Bessa. He actually said they're down there often,
Yeah.
and they are crossing from one to the next. They're
Oh,
just
yeah.
rolling the dice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? They just would be sitting ducks with wolves and bears? They're lunch meat.
Let's
Yeah.
see that doll sheep. Nice
Oh,
horse.
yeah. Isn't
Let's
that
see.
pretty?
Oh yeah.
The client who took that, I work for Rogue Expeditions, and I guide for him most of all.
Let's give him
But
a like.
that's,
Can we hit the like button? I want to like that.
So that's a client's ram that I guided. And,
DIY
That is
Alaska.
gorgeous.
Alaska _DIY.
But this guy was such a cool guy. He came up. He was a Youper, eh? Youper? No Youpers.
Huh?
What? It's Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They call themselves Youpers. I learned from him. I don't know.
Rare small percentage
Yeah.
breed of American.
But he was just a family guy. You know, always dreamed of hunting in Alaska. Took money out of his retirement account to do a Dall sheep hunt because he figured he better do it while he could physically do it. You know, got young kids at home and a wife and everything. Yeah, and he cried. I mean, he balled his brains out when he shot
Oh, I
that
bet.
ram. It was
Wow.
a cool.
Shit.
It was a very
I feel like
cool
crying
moment.
right now.
You know,
Yeah.
it took a lot of sacrifice for him to get up there and make that dream happen. And that was a touching moment. But he missed that ram on the first day of the hunt,
Oof.
and we hunted hard to find another ram, and we ended up relocating the same ram on day 5. Blew a stalk, camped up high on the mountain, found a little ledge, and the next morning it was just raining hard, and we kind of slept in a little bit. And I got up to go check, look around and see what was when the rain let up a little bit, and those rams had fed down the mountain over 400 yards over the lip of the ridge, like a little knife ridge we were on, right below us. He got he got up in his boots, threw some rain gear on, and shot that ram.
Bow hunter, rifle hunter.
Yeah,
That's great.
just bawled his eyes out. I mean, he was so happy.
That's awesome.
You know, but I love that. I don't know. You guys are guides. You guide in British Columbia. I always love it when you have someone there that's like they're emotionally
So
touched by
thankful.
the
All of them.
by the experience.
All of them are very like, that's an achievement for sure. And you come in thinking like, obviously you want to win the lottery, have the sheep gods, you know, give you the opportunity. It's still hunting, right? Like you try as hard as you can, but that was actually something I really enjoyed because I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a guide because I thought maybe it was going to be just fist pumping, screaming, like unaware of any emotions that you just took to life. But it wasn't like that at all. These people are extremely grateful, thankful, and super overwhelmed and emotional. And that.
Yeah, they're all hunters in their own. They're just looking for. They don't have this opportunity to hunt the species that we're usually hunting, right? So they respect life of those animals.
Oh, yeah.
For damn sure.
You know,
Check this out. This is a tar. This is from the tar hunting film I did.
oh cool. I
In New
saw
Zealand?
that. That was good.
And
I
these,
liked it a lot.
thanks.
Yeah.
These, look at these tar go straight up this.
So Sam and I got on
You can turn it down,
started
Brent.
cruising down that hill.
You watch these tar go straight up this cliff.
And for some reason,
Maybe
I was
move it
thinking
forward,
this was
Brent.
gonna be rather
Double tap
easy.
it or something.
Well, look at you like
I'm very intrigued by the tar hunting.
Yeah,
The more I
it's
hear
new to
about it.
us.
See him going up that cliff right here? It's like straight vertical.
Just a sheer cliff wall.
Down low, it was even steeper. Can't quite see it.
Just climbing cliff.
That country looks
That
amazing.
was amazing. I mean, the country, it was my first.
But they ran down the hill and they came up the other side and then they just went straight up.
Yeah.
I'm like blown away.
Goats.
We've
blown
definitely
away.
had some
And
hunts where it doesn't, you can't make it happen because you look at the roll factor, you're like, that's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Mathematically, we're going to lose everything about that animal. If you shoot him there, he's going to end up here, and that's not,
Yeah.
you know, it could be a
And
pile of
sheep.
mush.
Sheep, do they go straight vertical like that
Can,
too?
for sure.
They
Man.
can,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not like a goat.
Me and my buddy were hunting rams one time, and we were watching these sheep, and something spooked them, and they ran down a face that I believed that they could not run down, and it was like nothing. They skipper
love
down, like, you know, like
Yeah.
sheer rock. It's like looks smooth, and there's some ledges, You know, it's like the cleavage is just flaking off. He ran right down, and I mean, sometimes when you're looking at things, they're a little deceiving.
Right.
But we ended up going up after those sheep because they ended up going and bedded in some timber, and he ended up harvesting a beautiful ram. But
Oh yeah.
Dang.
it was
Sketchy.
incredible. Yeah, it was incredible.
When it
Watching,
comes
that was the steepest train I've ever seen the sheep move on.
when it comes to do-it-yourself goat, I don't know that you can beat the tar experience
I bet.
for price and what you get. Because I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, and unless you draw a tag in the lower 48, which can happen, you know, you just keep applying, you draw, then that's one thing. But that's not easy to do. I mean, you could apply in some states most of your life and never draw.
Right.
Next step, like you have to have a guide to hunt in Alaska, a goat.
Correct.
And you have to have a guide in BC or Canada to hunt a goat as a non-resident. But you don't have to have a guide in New Zealand. And when you figure in the cost of the guide in both Alaska and Canada, it becomes, first of all, it's no longer really DIY as you're leveraging a guide instead. It doesn't have the same feel.
And you're limited to time frame.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, you
It
could go there and
becomes
hunt
your
for a
flight.
month.
And you could
Scrap
kill
the guide.
multiple tar.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and
Really?
it's
Oh.
pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Some of those earlier solo hunter episodes with Remy Warren are really cool and informative. And you can see Remy out there chasing tar up on the mountains. Definitely something to check out.
Can we watch the
Some
the
refreshments
ADAC?
getting delivered here.
Yeah, we
You
can
want
watch
to do
that.
the ADAC teaser thing?
Yeah, throw that
I'm good.
Give you a
teaser on there.
little idea of the weather out
This
there.
is
It was
a
cool-
non-alcoholic.
Just can he just put in? Can he just type in ADAC?
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm learning the YouTube SEO thing. If you look for
Oh,
the
I
Alaska DIY channel, like YouTube channel,
Bam.
it'll pop up.
Delivery service.
Is it really non-alcoholic?
No.
Can I have a
You
non-alcoholic?
sucker.
No, I'll take care.
Okay. Ready, Brent? Ready?
No. We can share.
Cheers.
So, yeah, I think when it comes down to DIY goat mountain hunting, the other ones I've thought about are ibex maybe,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't. Can you do DIY ibex, or do you pretty much need to know somebody or
We're trying to
have?
find out about New Mexico.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that New Mexico. I'm going to start.
That's
putting
a
in.
draw.
I
That's a
heard it
draw,
was
though.
30%
The
chance,
Florida
so
mountains.
I got a friend there, and he was telling me it's legit.
I think it's a 30% draw odds, but your harvest odds are less than 5 or something.
Yeah,
That's
I heard
gotta
he told me it's a really hard hunt.
Yeah.
He's like, they are smart.
That's got to be
Big.
for archery, right? 30% draws for archery,
I
or 30%.
think it's
Yeah,
Archery
I think
it's archery
is it
only.
all archery, isn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
right?
We need a fact checker. We need, yeah. Do you have a young Jamie?
Fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who Brent is, but Jamie's kicking his butt.
Young Brent.
I've been here for 12 hours. It's been
Fabulous job, man.
Yay for Brent! Well done.
Happy birthday to
Jordan saying me happy birthday today, and it's not my birthday, and he did it on Instagram.
you. Can't stop that now. The ball's rolling.
That's awesome.
It's your half birthday.
I know.
Birthday's like half a year.
True. All right, Brent, play this sucker. For those watching on YouTube, here it is. For those that are listening, let me describe for you what you're seeing. No, I'm not gonna.
September 30th, that's my birthday. 1992, I was 14 years old. It's a good year. Oh, yeah.
Just gotta live the trad life, don't you?
It's in my heart, man. I can't help
It's you're masochistic.
Yeah, watch the film. It comes out a little bit. It wasn't plan A.
That's a good looking film.
This was an opportunity for me to hunt with my buddy Dustin. This is a hunt that he had heard stories about from a friend and dreamed of coming up to Alaska and hunting caribou on this crazy island way out in the ocean.
Cool, Abe.
So to be there for him and help kind of facilitate his living out that dream that he had, that was what the trip was ultimately about. It was just a really valuable experience to be there throughout that journey with Dustin and to watch him live out his dream hunt.
That is beautiful.
Whoa, dude! Heck yeah! That's legit.
Well
Thanks,
put
buddy.
together.
That terrain, that wilderness, wow. I might
Now
be doing it myself.
I want to
too.
go there. So you'll tell me exactly how to do it for about $150.
This one's a little bit more expensive.
Oh,
But I believe in providing like maximum value for what the price of the guide is. So
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot in there. It's going to help people go see something really, really amazing and unique and really cool. But I can't take credit for that. That was all Micah at Silverline. He's the man. Do you know Micah?
Mm-mm.
Oh, he's a good dude. He's behind the camera. He's in the editing room.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
That
Yeah,
must
it's
be cool.
exciting.
The star behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's right. Funny thing about this film, I had the concept on my Haul Road hunt in around August 1st. This was October, and I guided straight through. So I pretty much planned that hunt through my Garmin InReach on the mountain.
yeah.
That's
And I get to town like one day and just phone calls like crazy, emails like, how do you get sponsors? How do you cover the cost of a film? Like, what do you do? What do you say? It was wild. You know how to do all that stuff. I didn't. It was a really cool experience though.
That was the outcome though?
This is the outcome.
Well, you crushed it.
Well, thank you. I'm excited for the film to come
Organize that
out.
really
Yeah. And there's a good story. That's what I'm excited about. It's not just a film to look cool or to like. I'm not trying to puff my chest out and say I'm a great hunter. It's none of that. It's like and when the film comes out, I don't want to spoil too much, but to me, it's like a heartfelt story.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, and it's in like this wild, vast, epic landscape in the middle of the Bering Sea. Just like no other place on Earth, So I'm excited. It's
Is this
cool.
on Kodiak Island?
This is Kodiak Island.
So as a non-resident,
Sorry.
if I want to do this,
Yeah.
you need to guide me.
No,
I can't.
not
do
as a
it.
lower 48. As an alien,
I'm an alien.
Yeah, you'd be required.
Kinda
to
freaky.
have a guide.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So how would I go about doing it?
So actually, if you wanted to do that specific hunt, you couldn't.
Is it in?
Because there's
There's no.
there's
Janice is being
nobody's
dirty with the
guiding there
microphone.
right
We're
Yeah.
on beer now. We're all
Yeah.
big nights into beer.
Good. It's safe.
now. Sorry, Tennis, I'm hogging the beer. I'm sorry. There you go.
Friends,
I know.
spit buddies.
It's you come to these shows as strangers and you leave as family.
I know.
So,
If you do it right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so ADAC, you can buy the tag, go do it. There's no brown bear.
There's no bears, only weather.
Okay, and
Yep.
what's the caribou like?
There's a lot of caribou on the island. They're spread out. We didn't have any trouble finding caribou. It's an interesting landscape. It's not someplace I would recommend for somebody who's only whitetail hunted and then wants to It's somebody who's got some experience navigating terrain, a little
You're gonna
backcountry
want that
experience.
Stormfront
Yeah.
jacket for that.
Yeah, that's right. Is that a plug for Sitka?
Well,
Yeah.
no, I seriously legit like that
Yeah,
jacket.
no, yeah, good rain gear for sure. But there's good options too. ADAC is very cool, and there's boat transporters you can get dropped off like daily in certain areas, and then come back to town and stay in lodging, have hot meals.
Okay.
You can rent houses. So the really cool thing about it, I didn't think it was interesting until we were there and saw it, was that the decommissioned military base there. There's so much fascinating stuff that the military just up and walked away from and left. So there's tons of it looks like suburban America,
Crazy.
but like half the houses are eroding and being weathered away. Like there's houses with like half the siding is missing and the studs are all covered in black mold, and then next to it there's like 2 cars in front, everything's nice and pristine, and the lawn is mowed.
Wow.
It's weird. It's like post-apocalyptic weirdness.
Yeah.
Supposedly there's like some crazy weird secrets, like underground tunnels. There's supposed to be a hospital underground somewhere that nobody knows where the entrance. Somebody knows where the entrance is.
Is that part of the do-it-yourself package?
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, there will be a little bit of like, hey, here's a couple things if you're in town to go check out and see.
Yeah,
for
tag
sure.
out early.
Yeah, tag out early.
Right.
I would recommend that somebody plan for an extra day in town, maybe 2, because the
That's
beaches are cool. There's fish. There's awesome fishing there.
That's an awesome adventure.
It is. It's very unique. I had a great time. I can't wait to go back.
It looked wet. That's par for the course in Alaska.
Do you remember
Pretty
being up
much
north?
wet. Yeah, yeah,
It's
pretty
wet.
much. Wet all the time. I
Wet
couldn't
all
feel
the
my
time.
toes for 6 weeks.
So we backpack hunted that. And
Sorry,
it was blowing 50, 60 a lot, raining sideways.
Yeah.
Did you bring those boats, the inflatable?
Yeah, we
kayaks?
did. The alpaca rafts. Yeah,
So
we got
back 'em
around.
up, get in, boot over, leave
Yep.
them for whatever happens.
Yeah, we were originally going to try to cut off a few peninsulas, go across some bays and stuff. We weren't able to do that with the film. We ran into film permitting issues, actually.
Really?
Yeah, the wilderness would not. The guy was very cool and very helpful, and he was like, even if we had permits, like we're not giving them out to anyone. They're just not available. So we were.
I just stay off wilderness in general.
Yeah, I'm learning. There's a learning curve to this filming thing.
Yeah, you can
What is it? Or what do you mean? What? Fill us
in the United States.
There's some areas that are restricted for.
There's designated wilderness. It's a type of
you
public
can't
land,
film in there?
and wilderness just has so many permits and restrictions on filming. It's really archaic though. And so, like, if I want to go hunt state trust lands or I want to hunt BLM or whatever, I can get a permit for that. Wilderness, no.
Well,
In general,
even though films know nothing, you can, even for personal, you film yourself just doing things.
Photography is fine. Even commercial photography is fine.
which
Yeah.
irritates the
Yeah.
crap out
Can't
of
make
me.
a video, even if it's personal.
Yeah,
30 frames a second, right? That's
it's weird, and I don't understand the rules. It's like I said, it's
Secret of
old.
stuff. That's the only conclusion. You
No,
can come up
no. It has nothing to do with privacy.
with, right?
It has everything to do with, as far as I understand it, I could be speaking out my bum now, but what I think is the case, from what I understand it, when Hollywood would roll in and do a big film like Ben-Hur in a national park or
They want
whatever,
the exclusive rights to that scenery. And
Nope.
No, they just
It's
put
impact,
out.
isn't
they would go and make this great movie, and then they would leave, and they leave all their crap behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
movies are. They just don't want people making movies in the wilderness area.
Okay.
Because they
Yeah, it's
would
impact.
impact the wilderness. The wilderness is supposed to be untouched. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be wilderness. It's
Right.
supposed to be
Pristine.
no motorized vehicles,
Yeah.
no chainsaws, no
Yeah,
nothing, right? So no impact.
right.
And so films brought in vehicles and like
Right.
big cranes and film gear and film crews and all this stuff.
Right.
But my camera that you're using to take photos, your camera that you take photos with,
Your ex camera.
it's the exact same camera you film with.
Yeah.
I don't leave any impact any different than any photographer does.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same impact. And that's the reason for the basis for the law is for impact.
Right.
But it's so outdated because it doesn't really apply. When you go in and you make this film, there should be no reason why there's a restriction on that. But anybody can go in and photograph the exact same thing and sell
Leave
those
a pile of
photographs.
garbage and
Right.
walk away.
Mm.
I don't think stopping filming would stop. Like would. I don't think that would draw in a lot of extra waste and garbage, and you should just make the rules a little
I mean,
specific towards don't.
If you're
driving there and don't leave anything.
I mean, if you're
behind.
filming Iron Man,
Yeah.
then there could be a whole different set of rules, right? And there are. But for ADAC film,
Yeah,
there
exactly.
shouldn't be any restrictions.
Yep. 3 guys backpacking.
Yep.
That's all the impact.
No different
Yeah.
than a photographer. Same batteries, same camera, same everything. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
And
So
so wilderness is just a tough one. That's why it's easier. You can get permits more easily on BLM and on state trust lands and.
yep. I'm learning.
Mhm.
Hopefully, is New
you hit
Zealand wide
spots
open?
where there was wilderness on the island,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, we can't film that spot.
Yeah, so plan A to Tanis's question about the rafts was we're going to cross bays and access parts of the island that were difficult to get to. So instead, there's a series of lakes throughout the island and actually some pretty long lakes, a lot of water. So we would,
Easier to boat across.
easy to boat across, portage a little bit, boat across.
Probably
some
got
more.
to time that wind. I'd imagine you get on, the wind just might.
You'd be surprised. They're
Might be in your
light
advantage.
rafts. You can move them. I mean, it's much more difficult in the wind for sure. And I mean, we may or may not have put a whole caribou in one of those pack rafts. And the pack rafts are sub 10 pounds,
Yeah, they're amazing.
they're awesome.
We used one coming out of Kodiak.
Did you really? Cool.
Just on the what was that bay? We were in a little bay, and they sink a little if you don't like put the cork in all the way.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Not a
It's a
total
possibility,
sink.
huh?
But otherwise,
Little
what's
allegedly.
cool about the pack rafts is you can pack them with gear
Yes.
in the actual blow up area.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing how much gear you can put inside those things.
Some crazy amount of pounds. Then you
That's cool.
blow it up, and then you can stack stuff on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
But it and then I guess having the pontoons loaded inside with weight, balance that up. You can get a little stabler.
It stabilizes the boat for sure, right? It's like, because they're so light, you're right on top like a bobber. And you put stuff inside the tubes. There's a big zipper, and it's airtight. I mean, you could put you could put easily 300 pounds of gear or more inside the tubes, all stuffed in. Three guys worth of backpack, all your stuff, food, everything in one raft, and then paddling it is a piece of cake. And so to move gear, to move caribou meat, it's a tool that changes the way you look at maps and hunt planning and possible opportunities,
Yeah, for sure.
possibilities.
Yeah, I carry around one of those rafts. What is it? Big Sky Inflatables. What's it called, Brent? BigSkyInflatables.com. It's Watermaster. Those are the Watermaster rafts. They're pretty dang sweet, and they're a little heavier, but they're way heavier duty. But you can take them in places. I've been wanting to try taking them in for moose.
Yeah.
Because once you start incorporating the raft, you realize how much country is accessible.
That's right.
Same with roads. So I carry the raft. So two things I have in the back of my truck when I go hunting. Well, more than two things, but these two things
Important thing.
I have. I bring my raft. I bring that inflatable raft, which just takes a few minutes to pump up, and it's portable. It has a little backpack and everything. And then I bring my canvas cutter bedroll.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, really?
And pretty much it's crazy because you could be glassing this spot, and you just like get in a little boat, boop, and you're on the other side of this river that no one else can access.
Yeah, that's great.
Because the bridge is like 45 minutes up, or you got to wear waders unless it's over neck deep, and no one's going to cross it. And all of a sudden you're just like, boom, and you're hunting like that.
And for moose, I mean, it's quite common. You could just drift like shorelines on big lakes.
Yep.
Boop, 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 boop. Just calling little cow calls.
Elk hunting.
And you're silent moving into the area where when you're bushwhacking, they can hear it and,
Totally.
Elk hunting, mule deer hunting, black bear hunting. I mean, I look up maps specifically to try to find water that blocks off access
Yeah.
for people that wouldn't have a raft, and which is basically everyone.
Yeah.
Essentially, even if it takes some hiking and then you get to cross the river and then open stuff up.
Such a difficult thing to do, this podcast. Because
You tell
you're
everybody.
Talk forever.
No, but you're stuck between this space where you want to help people have secrets and, access things
Don't wanna
and have
exploit it.
adventures and all that. But at the same time, you're like, you don't want to tell any other hunter how you do things because you don't want them hunting well.
Yeah.
It's this weird,
Well, it's
challenging set of emotions. Like,
we were talking about it earlier. I mean, yeah, you're educating people about how you hunt, and you're out there trying to continue to hunt. I think the trick is stay ahead of the curve.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kill a couple
That's what
for
I think about
yourself.
podcasting.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Try, because there's always someone else that's going to come along and figure your new tricks out, and then they're going to do something else and do something else. And
I do find it really interesting that you said 96, that there was 2,000 less hunters.
2 million
2 million.
Less?
hunters now
Yeah.
than in 1996.
That's
You're
got
gonna
to
like
be
you're
just
gonna like
in
my
America.
podcast.
Insane.
You're gonna need to listen to my podcast.
I
I talked
will.
all about it.